All right, welcome to, technically this is part 2 of the Unedited Meeting from last week that we uploaded here on YouTube. This we are continuing from our 90-day planning session, so if you missed that, you can go back and watch that one and get fully caught up. But this video, we just want to do content planning. So more specifically, deciding what content to actually even plan for. Because I think it's really easy to fall in the trap of like, well, we should make videos, well, we should post on social, well, we should have a podcast, well, we should write newsletters. But why do any of those things if they don't have a goal in mind of something they should be doing for you?
Right.
So that's part of what we want to discuss, is shifting some of our content focuses and then what those content focuses are actually going toward, and also brainstorming, coming up with some ideas.
Yeah, and connecting our content plan to the bigger picture. So if you watched our other video, that was Q4 planning.
Yeah. And
kind of figuring out and really it's like Q4, but also a little bit of Q1 of next year.
Yeah.
Because you're just kind of planning it out a little bit, but it's like, what are our goals for now, between now and sort of spring of next year? And then how are we reverse engineering the content plan that gets us to those goals?
Exactly.
So as we already discussed, we are, to give you a general picture of our business, the main thing that we sell is our WAIM Unlimited program. It's a coaching program. And so we just came off of a launch in the fall of this year, and then basically we will be doing a January kind of little mini sale. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but it's not going to be like a huge list-wide launch.
One week.
1 week of
Quick
emails to people who probably have been interested in it in the past. And then the bigger launch is going to be in March. So that'll be like our big spring launch of 2021. So we want to be reverse engineering who is the type of person who is going to be perfect for the WAIM Unlimited program, and then what content are we creating in order to guide them on a journey to build trust so that they trust us and know that we can actually help them in their business. And
we want to be the unboring coaches, so we got to point that out. 2 quick housekeeping things. If you see us looking off this direction in my camera, or if Carol looks off in that direction in her camera, that's our big screen is up there on the wall. So
it's called the big screen.
It's the big screen in our house. So I've got my laptop over here. You've got your laptop in front of you. But if you just see us constantly and you're like, what are they looking at? I don't think the video will be set up that way when I edit it in YouTube. I don't know. Maybe it will. And then that would be, because then we'd be looking toward the screen.
Oh, weird. No, I don't know.
I think I have to do that now.
No.
Ooh, that's exciting.
No.
Yeah, because I'll just flip one of ours. And yeah, it's fine.
Your brain.
So
You
anyway,
can't flip yours though because your nose.
My nose is, if you want to comment, I used to get angry comments in YouTube videos when I made a lot more videos many years ago. Because of YouTube.
What else are you going to comment
But
about?
no one comments
someone's
about
nose?
it anymore.
Gosh.
No one cares. Gosh.
It's just, yeah.
Guys, make fun of me. Come on. Just kidding. Don't do that. All right. So where do we want to start?
Great question.
Do you want to go over, let's go over the buckets first. So let's go over the we have content that we use for discovery, and then we have content that we use for purely engagement and deepening and giving a lot of value.
Yeah, so those are the 2 kind of purposes. Is certain channels are better for what we call discovery. So if you're familiar with our marketing bridge concept, the idea is you want ways for people to come into your awareness, find out about you for the first time, and then you want content that serves for building trust and kind of becoming aware. And then when you're launching, you want content that is more directed around, hey, I'm launching, here's what the product is about. So we're going to focus on the first 2 buckets, discovery and then sort of trust building. And what are the channels that we're going to use for each one of those things? So mainly it's in 3 of these different channels: YouTube, newsletters, and then podcast episodes. And
do you want to talk about the missing one?
And it used to be, there was a 4th one, which was social, which was
really
Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're going off of Instagram. We're just making a very intentional choice to spend less time on Instagram. So in spring of this year, we had a very focused Instagram strategy, and that worked really well for us. But we as people change all the time, and where we want to spend our time changes. And we just really believe in, if you're going to run your own business, create the life that you want to have, because you have the freedom and the control to do that. And so I don't want to be spending all of my time on Instagram. So we need to steer our business in a different direction to make up for that deficit.
And I would take over our Instagram account, but I cannot stay on brand. So
yeah, he's really bad.
I actually have been on the non-social train for many years, so I'm happy for us to not use it. So
yeah, so we're just kind of treating.
Where can we find some people, Carol?
Right. So you were talking about maybe devoting some more of that time to building YouTube content as more of our discovery platform.
Yeah.
So we know with our podcast that it's more of a deepening tool. It's not really, people aren't like discovering us on
We have not
podcasts.
seen podcast analytic growth in the entirety of our podcast, which has been around for almost 3 years now.
It's just for people who already know about us and they want to go deeper and listen to more stuff about us. So that's fine. That's great. That is in that trust building category of, you know, somebody finds us for the first time, then they're like, oh, how can I get more of this?
Yeah.
Usually they're going to go to the podcast. They're going to sign up for the email newsletter. So that leaves YouTube for being more of a discovery engine. Now, that is a little tricky because how are we going to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the very simple kind of way that I see YouTube working for us is show up with a video every week so that people know that you're there consistently, help them in some way with some type of unboring coaching, because that's what we tend to do. And so if we can give them some value through some quick coaching through a video, show our personalities so that people can be like, oh, I like learning from these people. They're not boring, they're fun, they're silly, they use emojis all the time. Like, these are, you know, interesting people to learn from. And they're giving me good advice. They're not just like repeating all the platitudes that every other online coach in the world does. We're actually taking it from our experience, things we've learned. So if every week we have a video that is not super long, that's not incredibly crazy to edit, but it just becomes a piece of content where maybe in the course of, if we're saying 6 months, that's 26 videos, one a week, maybe a couple of those get some organic traction.
Well, that's the conversation we need to have, because you're going down this route with it. And as you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, but we just established that, like, if this is going to be our discovery channel, because we also have our blog, which is like, we have plenty of discovery traffic coming from SEO. But if we're saying that we want YouTube to be a discovery channel for us, we need to be smart about the SEO strategy behind that.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know if just a tip video, unless we get really good at the keywords of that, is going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody has the answer to that question other than just putting the plan together, feeling confident in that plan, and then going, okay, now let's see what happens. Because it's just impossible to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's even like writing articles. Like, you can have the best laid out article plan and know the exact keywords, but if the magic sauce doesn't happen behind the scenes to rank you well, it doesn't really matter. So
Well,
I think it's a lot of picking the right content channel is A, what you want to do, B, that the channel works in the way that you hope it works, and you just have to kind of like believe in that and then put the effort in, and then C, not hating doing that work.
Right.
And I think for us, that's why we don't use Facebook. It's why we don't use Twitter. It's why we, you know, like, we stay away from most of those platforms, and even now Instagram a little bit. We just don't feel good spending a lot of that time there. So would we feel good about spending time with YouTube every single week is really kind of like the first question to answer.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I like the creative aspect of first of all, getting better at a skill. Like, we haven't devoted that much time and effort into videos. Like, we've kind of sporadically done it. But I just like the idea of trying to kind of carve out more time for a creative space. But so yes, does that answer the question?
The jury rests. Sustained.
Objection.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you were good.
Oh, okay, great. So my next, but where my brain was already going is like, I'm sitting here thinking, does it make more sense to look at the historical data of what has done well for our growth on YouTube as an indicator of discovery? Because if that's the case, the things that have like contributed the most, I think, to subscriptions that we can see are the BASFA series.
Yeah, so that was a series that we did that was building a website from scratch.
Right.
Yeah,
the Growing Through It series and Matt kidding.
Yeah.
So, but what that's showing me, the reason I'm pointing that out is because those are very, like, both Growing Through It and the BASFA series are very, like, technical tutorial kind of videos versus just tip videos.
Yep.
And so I wonder if it's worth us exploring. I think your strategy of saying, like, let's turn, because we have these 20 different basically ideas for videos.
If you want to show it, you can jump to Wayne.ai.
Oh, sure.
So we created this personal coaching robot within our program, and it's basically 220 short audio recordings for whenever you just need like a jolt of inspiration or motivation.
I might have to log in and oh no.
No, you're good. So we kind of broke it out into 2 different categories, the way that you're feeling or if you need tactical advice on things. But each one contains 10 different pieces of advice. So if you just want to click into one.
So it's like, today I'm feeling or today I need help with. So you can imagine the idea would be like...
so just click into one of them.
Sure. 10 tips for when you're feeling overwhelmed as an online business owner.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And then we have all of these audio recordings that we've already written that are literally tips for what you can do, tactical things you can do for when you're feeling overwhelmed. And so each one of those is a video idea in itself. And so your kind of idea was like, why don't we take our hard work we've already put into this, leverage that, create these tip videos, and really focus on consistency as like the growth engine. And I think that's definitely an idea that's on the table. And that also like wouldn't create that much time investment because we've already kind of written the scripts to a degree. And then we could just use all of that creativity on what are the visuals? How are we displaying this in a unique way? So there's that idea. But there's a part of my brain that's going...
Which part?
The smart one.
The smart part?
The smart part is going, okay, to me that's more of a trust building channel strategy. Because it's like, you're mainly creating those for people who are already subscribed to you. They just like your voice. They like your advice.
I hear you.
Okay? Not really a discovery part, because never in my life have I like gone to YouTube and been like, typed in a keyword and then been excited to find just a general 10 tips for this video. Like I haven't. The thing that I'm usually excited about when I find something is like, I'm searching for something specific. Like, and then I sort of find the tip video, you know what I mean? So I'm just wondering, is there another idea here where it's like a series on going like the more technical route, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we have to decide is just how much time do we have to put into these videos, because we both know that like a BASFA style video, it takes a lot of time. It
does, but is there a way that idea is like every couple of weeks we do one of those? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess I'm just saying this is the time to consider those things.
Totally.
And the only thing that makes me feel hesitant about the first idea is like, we want to be really excited about the ideas. And I don't always get excited about tip videos.
Yeah, I think also just reframing it from a tip video to like how to help someone deal with feeling overwhelmed. So remove the tip aspect of it. The tips are in the video. That's how we're going to answer the question. That's the problem we're going to solve. But it's more in just like how you're proposing the idea to people.
Totally.
So I think it's just a little bit of just turning that on its head from like 10 tips to dealing with overwhelm. It's like, no, it's like how to deal with overwhelm as an online business owner. We have 10 ways. We don't even have to use 10. We could use 5. We could pick our 5 favorite.
Just use that as like a jumping off point.
Just use that. And it's what I told you the other day when I was first bringing this up was like, is there a way that we could kind of create our own just way of doing YouTube videos for these next 26 weeks, if that's how long we're going to do it, how many videos we're going to make, where it's like, the intro is like some type of like fun, silly, unboring thing with the two of us that introduces the problem. Then we address how to solve the problem with like the tips or whatever. And then at the end, it like comes back to us and like, what's the call to action for someone to like get value from us moving forward? And so like you have this container that you can drop any idea into. So it's always us and our personalities. It's the storytelling aspect. It's the problem that we're solving, and it's the conclusion. So it's essentially just that, and then going, okay, every time we just have to fill in that middle block of content. And so just fill in that block with however you want to frame it that makes you feel good and interested in doing it. I'm not at all set on 10 tips, ideas videos. I've never watched those videos myself. I don't care about watching those videos.
I just am like, I just think, I guess, I keep getting hung up on like the thing that has brought the most growth of people finding us from YouTube. Like the only thing that I have anecdotal evidence of people saying, I found you from YouTube, is from the BASFA series. And
I totally understand, but I think in the grand scheme of what we have time for and what we have not had continued experience using, so it's like, it's really easy to go, the BASFA series worked really well, let's do another one of those, or something like that.
Which is not what I'm saying.
Right, no, I understand. But what I'm saying is, We also don't have the consistent showing up every week, being helpful, being us. We have like a very sporadic YouTube strategy that we've used for a long time. And that doesn't help YouTube, the algorithm, Captain Al, know that,
Captain Al,
that you're going to show up every week and that he should reward you by showing that to people.
Why isn't it he?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not.
Captain
it's actually
Al is
it.
Because it's not a person.
Because it's not a person at all.
Fair.
Yeah.
So, okay. We've once again decided nothing, but this is why we have these meetings and record them for you guys, because this is the thought experiment. This is what you have to talk out.
It's not a perfect sit down. Okay, YouTube, here's the plan. Do this, blah blah. Like,
yeah. So, one person whose videos come to mind that I just think we should bring up just to get on the same page of like, is this the type of thing that you're thinking of?
God, I hope it's something I don't expect at all.
Let's go to, I don't know if that's her.
I hope this is just something terrible that you find.
So Michelle B is like a person that because we're on our account. I was like, I'm not even subscribed to her.
Yeah.
But she is a YouTuber who does videos all about creating an intentional life, which the reason I bring her up is because creating an intentional life is such a broad, nebulous thing, but she does a good job of doing these videos that are all about these nebulous things. But I think she's proof that, of course, she's been doing it for a really long time.
Yeah.
But I wonder if showing you a little bit of this video to see how you feel about
like how she
storytells, basically.
Sure.
So I don't know if the sound is going to be trouble for you.
Well, I don't necessarily know that I need the sound other than just...
Hi there, welcome to Forward.
Well, we certainly don't need this ad by Forward.
I'm Dr. Nate Favini.
Hey, Dr. Nathan.
Okay, so I'll just kind of click through.
Become very self-centered. Self-care usually talks to the things that I've talked about before.
So it's little her
very important, getting in your nutrition,
talking head stuff with
but in this
a lot of B-roll.
A lot of B-roll, a lot of clips.
Underrated and undervalued self-care
Ooh,
activities that if you integrate that
she had the same Final Cut issue. Look.
Ooh, sorry, didn't make it big enough. Ooh.
We're just kidding. It's only because we've done
this
many a time where like it doesn't fit the whole thing anyway.
Underrated and undervalued self-care activities that
right. So a couple of title cards. So then you have
activity number one.
Yes, this is exactly what I was thinking. 100%.
Where and the truth is, I do get value out of those videos because it's like just giving you little nuggets that you don't have to think of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the reframing of what I was just saying a minute ago. It's not a 10 tips video. It's how to overcome overwhelm in your business or whatever. The tips are just in the video. Like that's the answer to the problem.
Yeah.
So then it's just about creating the timeline of how you want that to play out in the video, which I think is still what I said before. I think that still works for what we want to do. And then we're not going to be able to figure it out now in this meeting because I think we're going to have to like actually write one of the videos, think about what we want to shoot, think about how much B-roll we want to put in, all that other stuff, and then we can figure it out. So I think to me what this sounds like is you're good with the topics from our personal coaching robot, as you just wrote, informing the video ideas, and that gives us, and again, if we just 20 topics, we have 20 videos just on those topics, even if we're cutting them in half. We really have 40 if we're cutting them in half.
Well, yeah, and truthfully, we could try it for 10 weeks, and if our channel doesn't grow at all, then it's not working for
Well, I think that's the other
discovery.
thing we should try and we should actually try and track is not channel growth, is not video growth, is having a dedicated landing page on Wayne that comes from YouTube.
Absolutely.
So that we could 100% with certainty go, these people only came from YouTube. So even if the videos, because our videos get like 500 views, which is nothing in the world of YouTube, but if 500 views get us a couple passive people signing up for Wayne Unlimited, or they're just good people that when we do a launch in March, we can track back, oh, this person came from YouTube, and we can see how many of those came through. We may not know the success of this until we do our launch, which is okay. We just determine what those data points are now.
Well, then we have to ask ourselves, what is the compelling reason for someone to click through to that landing page?
We should figure that out. I think we should also define what success would mean for using YouTube for our March launch. So if we said like a third of the people who sign up for our March launch came from YouTube, to me that's like an absolute win for our YouTube strategy. So I think if we just define that and then we can track that so that like their entry point and whatever it is that they do, we figure that out. So I almost feel like our existing funnel, for lack of a better phrase, on Wandering Aimfully, which is our quiz, our business blind spot quiz, which we're going to change the name from blind spot to something else. But if just that is on its own page from YouTube, so it's just getting them into the blind spot quiz to like...
And I don't think that that's compelling.
Okay.
Because like, again, I always like to do things putting myself in the shoes. This is like so funny too, because this is like how I think I always approach it this way because my strength is empathy. And so it's like, it's very easy for me to just like put myself in the shoes of the person. And I'm like, okay, I'm watching a video, it's all about this or whatever. Why would it be compelling to me to take the time to click on a link to go take a quiz? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think that's the same reason why anybody who comes to our website who's never heard that we have a quiz before sees the opportunity to take a quiz to figure out what their business blind spot is. Again, we're going to change the name. It's a compelling offer because people do it and they're interested. They're interested to find out what we figured out. The fact that we get 150 people to take that quiz every single week, to me, is proof that that works.
Yeah, it's just a different mindset of a person, though. That person's already coming to the page. So they're already somehow interested in us, and you're only convincing them to, like, take that step further. To me, you're in a totally different mind space when you're watching a YouTube video, right? Like, you're in a seeking mindset. You're like, it's also being fed to you because you're in an ecosystem. It has to take a lot for you to go to a different ecosystem to get something. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. So I hear you. What's your...
Is it a free email course? Is it a free download? Is it something that takes the step further that solves a problem for them?
But then we're going to have 20 individual problems based on each video?
Not necessarily. Maybe it's just one. Maybe it's one really compelling thing. Maybe it's the 5-step business checklist we've already created, but we need to find a tie-in to that in every video. So like, great example, I came across a random rabbit hole I'm into right now is like songwriting and guitar. And do I play instruments? No, don't ask me about it.
Do we own an instrument?
No, we do not.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about music theory and I'm learning about it. And so I think I typed in something like, what's the difference between a chord and a note or something like that. And I found this guy and he teaches guitar lessons online. He has this video. I was looking for a specific thing. And in the video, he's like, great. Here, he's solving my problem. Sprinkled in, he's like, this is totally, if you're over your head, don't worry about it. If you're interested in some of these terms I'm saying that maybe you don't know yet, go to my suchandsuch.com/30. It's my 30 days to the basics of guitar. And so it's like, that is a very compelling offer to me. I'm learning the thing in the video, but he's telling me to go to this other place to go deeper on this problem that he knows applies to me, because why would I be watching this video if I didn't also want to learn the first 30 days of like music theory? Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. I already agreed that you had a valid point before. So I think outside of this meeting, we can decide what we want that call to action
which is
to
why
be.
I'm writing it down. So create a dedicated landing page from YouTube. I
think the point is just being able to track specifically the people came from YouTube and getting them into our email newsletter.
Yeah.
Moving on in through the WAIM plans.
Okay. So after this, we're gonna come up with we're gonna turn these into actual videos. And that's just a task of the...
Great. So just to recap, we're gonna do a video every week. We're gonna take our existing personal coaching tips. We're gonna pick our 5 favorite from each probably, turn that into a video. The video is probably gonna be 5 minutes in length or so, depending on how long the beginning and end are. It's going to have a call to action to something specific on our website that is related to the content dishwasher or the problem that we're trying to solve. And our goal is, which I think we should write down before we forget it, is that 1/3 of the buyers for our March mega launch, will be attributed to getting into our email system from YouTube. That's like a win for all this time we're putting into YouTube.
Yeah, the reason I'm hesitating is because I'm like, does it make more sense to do it as a percentage of the overall? Because you're then sort of relating it to how well the other channels do, rather than doing hard measurable numbers. Like, our goal is to get 10 sales from YouTube. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so by saying
sure.
1/3 of our sales, you're comparing it to how the other channels do, rather than just setting an individual goal for that channel.
Okay, sure.
So like
15.
in the March launch,
Right.
attributed.
Our goal
Back
is
to
50
YouTube.
for our March launch, so that ends up being a third of the people.
Okay. Okay. So that's YouTube. And then we'll have to do a project meeting on coming up with all of this, breaking it down into tasks. And also, I think we should set a time limit on how much time we're both spending on creating these videos each week.
Yep.
We also need to decide, are we going to batch them? Are we going to just have a time in our schedule each week? So we'll do that during the project meeting, but those are for the people at home. Those are questions to ask yourself. And then I do think we do ourselves a favor and get a couple in the bank before we start publishing them.
Yeah. And I think we already have a time carved out for our podcast recording on Wednesday mornings. If we just want to say like Wednesday is content day, so it's like record the podcast, then record the YouTube video, and like then we know content is taken care of, and we can decide that in that meeting. But I just was thinking about like, would it be helpful just like, okay, we're in content mode on Wednesday, we don't have to like get into content mode multiple days of the week. Like it helps to batch even just
Content
that
day.
time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go to
Sorry for my squeaky chair. Oh.
Ooh. Let's go to podcast then. Let's jump.
Last thing I want to say about YouTube.
Sure.
I just also want it to be known that our ultimate goal, I think we always have to come back to being helpful. Like, I want to be the go-to channel for someone who needs to feel re-inspired in their online business and doesn't want to watch some of these like more aggressive, hustly videos. Like they
not
want
all about the money.
They want to be reminded of things to work on in their business or helpful ways to overcome any limiting beliefs that they have from two people who have fun in their business and don't make everything about just trying to maximize profits.
Yeah, and I think that in itself is probably like a good thing to start every video with every week. Is some version of that that's just like really quick and snappy and gets people to be like, oh, okay, great, this is the right video for me. Or no, I'm looking for hustle bro money content, I need to go somewhere else.
And maybe I'm just gonna throw this out there because I still
Maybe I'm not on camera, is that what you're gonna say?
maybe you don't show up.
Okay, all right.
I still can't shake this feeling of trying to also plant some seeds for something like BASFA that's more technical. So
that's fine.
So maybe we can
That's
also
fine.
set a goal of like before the end of the year, we publish 2 more technical video things that are related to online business, but they're like more like watch me do this.
Sure, totally fine. Throw it in there as a potentiality.
See how his ideas are on the thing and mine are a potentiality? No. Goal equals publish 2 technical, I'm going to say.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm all for it. You do the bulk of the technical work, so it's just, you're just adding work
Well,
to your
then
plate.
why are you fighting me on it? Let me
Because I want you to do
this
less
work.
things. I want you to do
Let
less
me
things.
do more things.
I want you to do less things.
Okay, we'll put this as a secondary priority. Okay? It's like if we have time and we are excited about it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's YouTube.
Okay. So the very quick question for our podcast, because I don't think we have to go too far into that because we just spent a lot of time really going over YouTube, which is...
I'm listening.
I feel like we've done a good job just like kind of coming up with ideas as we've been thinking about them for the past 10 episodes now that we've recorded since the podcast has come back. By the way, check out our podcast, What Is It All For, on all podcast streaming platforms. I don't necessarily think we need to like hash out those ideas.
Well, yeah, and it's
now.
a deepening tool, right? So it's like that really, to me, that's not about having a strategy meeting. That's about us having a brainstorm meeting.
Yeah, and I also think it's worth just sharing in this video too why podcasting doesn't get like the same effort, or because it's just not a discovery channel for us. So
Right.
putting a lot of time and effort into it, I've tried so many times over like the 10 podcasts I've had over the years to have like, get on the email list, get this thing, like solve this problem, get in this email course, whatever. And like, just people are not, when you're listening to a podcast, I know when I'm listening to it, I'm outside doing stuff. I'm doing laundry, we're cleaning, doing whatever.
It's an emotional platform. It's like an emotional connection platform.
I'm never sitting at my computer like, okay, let me type in a URL or let me do
and
something.
Even if you're going to a podcast to learn something new, I feel like what you end up walking away with is just a deeper emotional connection with the person who's teaching you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Cool. So I think for podcasts, it's just continue every week. We'll have a separate meeting to go over ideas and then just keep getting ahead of that schedule. And
yeah, I'd like
stuff.
to come up with episode ideas throughout the end of the quarter.
Okay.
/ year. But are you saying you're not in the headspace right now to brainstorm those ideas?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, newsletter.
Would you like to do that right now?
Sure. We could.
So you would like to do it right now is the answer to that question.
I mean, I'd like to have it done.
Just trying to get the prosecution to know exactly
Okay.
what answer I'm dealing with here.
Well, let's talk about the newsletter and then we'll circle back. And if
Okay.
the video is not too long, then it's
Great.
already pretty long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, newsletter.
All right. We have one.
So the thing about the newsletter is what we've experimented with this year that I feel like we have liked is the series.
Yeah, we've done like these little series. So we started with Grow Slow in 2020,
Yep.
which ended up being like a 9-week series where every week we just brought up an idea of like slowing down and learning whatever. And then we had our Growing Through It series, which we had 2 different chapters of, if you will. And that was about going deep on someone's business, applying our 5-step checklist and breaking that down, whether it was in an article or a video. We always had a video. And then we had the Mistakes That Made Us, which was like a 4-week series sharing the mistakes that we made over the years and what we've learned.
So the question is, do you like the series format? Do you want to continue that? And then we just need to come up with some series ideas for the rest of the year.
Right.
And really it's like, I mean, I don't have my...
I think we have like 6 emails left for the rest of this year. Maybe 5.
Let's see. Let's create a calendar view, Jason.
Oh, wow. This is just going to create a calendar.
So we have...
The 19th.
Yeah, because our launch is still to the 12th. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9, because we probably will take off the 2 weeks of Christmas before New Year's. So we have 9.
So we have 9 emails that we're going to send before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you want to email people about?
First, I'm going to go to... Didn't mean to go here. I meant to go to the project page. This is my dashboard. Hello, everyone.
Cute. Cute.
There it is. The project page. Because that's kind of where I like to just like type out ideas and then turn them into episodes. Okay. Brainstorm. What do you think our audience would find most helpful? Am I like getting out of frame here? Am I really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is it stressing you out?
Yeah, I mean, it's not stressing me out. It's just like people want to watch you in the video when you're like over here.
I know. Well, I'm really sorry. It's hard for me to think when I have to be proper.
You don't have to be proper. You just have to not wiggle around like a little wiggle monster.
I'm a wiggle monster.
You sure are. I don't know. For some reason, I just had this idea of continuing to leverage the personal coaching work that we've already done and poured so much time and energy into. And so it's like maybe taking the 5 tips that we don't use in the videos and like putting those in emails. And so that gives us a ton of runway on newsletter topics where we don't have to beat our head against the wall trying to come up with like new and fancy thing. Like we've already come up with that. And so just giving people like kind of like actionable wins every week in their inbox.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the series is that like ties them all together.
I thought about so the like feelings one. I think there's 8 of those. Yeah, there's 8.
Uh-huh.
But that's a very like nebulous thing, right? But I just was thinking like is there something around one of those each week where it's like something about feelings, like the feelings that you have as a online business owner? Because a lot of times I feel like you have some version of these feelings, you feel unmotivated or you feel discouraged or whatever, and you just like think that you're the only one that feels that way, or you feel that way because you haven't figured it out yet or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's something around that.
Yeah, I wonder if, I like that idea.
Thank you.
I wonder if doing too many in a row is like, not like a downer, but it's like, okay, we talked about unmotivated, overwhelmed, not good enough, discouraged, like every single week. And it's...
Well, it just depends on how you're framing it. You're not like harping on it. You're offering people advice for that, or an opportunity to connect with us around a time when we've felt discouraged, a time when we felt not good enough. Like,
yeah.
And if we're talking about content that solves problems for people, every one of these feelings feels like a problem to that person. And I guess the message of the thing is like, it's not really a problem, but if you don't want to feel this way, or if you want to move through this feeling, like here's how to do that.
Yeah.
And I know it's not quite as like tactical,
no,
but
that's fine. It doesn't have to be tactical.
I feel like a newsletter is a great place for that, because it is more of an emotional connection you're forging and less of a 10 tips type of thing.
The name of the series that just came to mind for me was Are You Feeling This?
Are You Feeling This?
Which I just thought,
I like that.
Yeah, which just could be kind of like on your mention of just kind of like reframing it subtly, just like I was saying with the tips, like just like reframing it. If we were to reframe that to be like, hey, are you feeling this? Are you feeling unmotivated? Are you feeling overwhelmed?
But then it's also like, are you feeling this?
But are you feeling this?
But are you feeling this?
Are you like, and the goal, I think that's it. Like the goal of every newsletter is to give a couple actionable ways to deal with that, and maybe how we've dealt with that.
Well, I think the first thing is like a little bit of context of, and I'm not talking about big story portion, but like, hey, we felt really discouraged when we launched X, Y, and Z project and like nobody bought.
Yeah. And then here's a couple ways to get through that. So even if it's 3, right? Like we just pull out 3, and then to finish it off with like, okay, like now that you have these things, like let's get out of that. Let's move forward. Let's be in it for as long as you need to, but also know that like you can move forward just like we move forward.
I like it. Are you feeling this?
Huh.
Huh.
If you could, when you write that down in parentheses, say Jason came up with this series idea, just to make sure
I'm gonna do you one better.
My emoji. Oh, it's copyright. Okay, great. Yeah, well, because we're in a court of law, this is very helpful. Yeah.
Okay, so then we're gonna use the coaching robot topics, feelings topics. That gets us 8, by the way, but we'll just have to come up with the 9th one.
Yeah.
And so the format will be like, what did we say? Intro story.
Yep, how we've dealt with that feeling.
And then 3 tips for moving through that feeling.
Yep.
And then, what'd you say the ending?
And then just like, how do you turn it to be like a positive thing moving forward that you can change or shift or whatever.
I also like, framing like the replies as like, okay, now are you feeling this?
Yeah.
Because let us know.
Yeah.
And like hit reply and tell us like, what's going on in your world where maybe you can relate to this feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the overall goal of this series, just to define a goal would be nice, is like to more connect with our subscribers.
So
because,
replies.
Like the mistakes that made us, that was a little bit of connection, but we didn't get we got some interaction with that. Growing through it, there's never a lot of interaction. It's more just like, wow, this is fun to watch. I really enjoyed this. Obviously like being a launch, that there's no connection point there. So like this really gets people back into connecting, replying, chatting, feeling like they can share some of their feelings too.
Cool.
Feelings and feelings.
Feelings.
So it gets us through the end of the year, and then we can, separate of this, decide what we want to do after the new year.
Yeah, so we'll just do that in
New
December.
year, new you. I don't think anyone's ever said that.
Oh my god, new year, new you.
Cool, that's a good one.
Great idea.
Copyrighted. And trademarked and registered. Okay. All right.
So I think the next step for that would be just creating the outline and maybe the little header branding or whatever.
Yeah. A little GIF, a little fun, cute little GIF.
So I'm gonna add those as tasks. So create.
Oh wow, you're just adding some tasks right now.
Yeah. Are you feeling this email header? I'll deal with that in a second. And then we're also gonna do add. Are you feeling this? Aped. Newsletter topics.
And then we can decide the format that we want to write with that. If we like, maybe that one's less his and her, because that's what we have done a little bit.
Yeah, we can work on the exact formatting, but I think this was like our outline or whatever.
Cool.
So, actually, let me just say I'll do that today, and then the branding and stuff, I can just do it on Friday for like a fun thing.
Fun thing.
Okay.
All right.
So then that was... Oh, man.
Uh-oh. What happened?
I was trying to get back to our...
Cycles and reviews.
Yeah, a quarter. Pew, pew.
We made it. We made it back.
Oh, we did that. That was all we had left.
That was all we had left. Well, friends, that's how we come up with content planning for the next 90 days.
Yeah.
And even really the next 6 months is kind of what we just planned out.
Yeah, and as you saw, sometimes it can be messy. You're trying to figure a lot of things out. I think that's totally a normal part of the process. I think a lot of entrepreneurs make it look like they just have it all figured out from the gate, but probably a lot of these messy conversations are happening behind the scenes where they're testing out different ideas and talking back and forth with their team about what they think will resonate. And the way that we approach it, at least, is like start with the messy conversation, keep breaking it down into smaller pieces. From here, it'll refine even further as we like plug it into our content calendar system. And that's just how we do everything in our business. It's like it starts messy, it starts broad, and then you just chip away at it until it's like a tangible, actionable thing that you can do. And
a little shameless plug, threw one in the last video, throw one in this one. We're gonna do a 6-month content calendar planning. So basically taking this messy process and boiling it down for our members in like a specific, hey, here's exactly how to figure out what content to create, how much you're going to create, when you're going to create it, what it's going to do for your business. That's going to be within our WAIM Unlimited program. We'll do that in a full monthly coaching session. So if you're interested, wanderingaimfully.com/join. A small promo for our own stuff. But yeah, I think that'll do it.
Great.
All right.
Hope you found this valuable, and thanks for tuning in. And if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Very meta. We went over YouTube in this video.
Wow.
Now you're going to be a subscriber. See how that works? Fantastic.
Wow.